I want to introduce our guest today, Mitch Axelrod. I've never had anyone join me on a call. I've never teamed with anybody, but I've never met anyone like Mitch. We were both members of a marketing group. There are 85 of us in this digital marketing professionals group. And I asked that group a couple of years ago a question. And my question was, where is Dr. Robert Cialdini? Like, where is he? Because we know the digital marketers were taking his principles and teaching them incorrectly. They were telling entrepreneurs, the marketers were, here's how you use authority and scarcity and reciprocity and social proof and the rest. And as a psychologist, as someone who has known Cialdini since the 1980s, who has taught his stuff, I knew they weren't teaching it the right way. That wasn't how it's supposed to be done. And that's why they weren't getting results. So I sent this note to our group saying, hey, where is Cialdini? How come he's not speaking out on this? And Mitch, who I hadn't met yet, he said, well, here's your answer. And he sent me an interview, Mitch did, of an interview he did with Dr. Cialdini some years ago. And he said, here's your answer. And I listened to this interview. It was the first time ever this question was brought up to Dr. Cialdini about the smugglers of influence. So that's why I call them smugglers. The folks that take Cialdini's principles and use them incorrectly, stack them like weapons. So you've all heard me talk about that before. But it was Mitch who had interviewed him. So we kind of got together. We had this common mission of getting rid of smuggling. How to, instead of using, the dark psychology and the heavy marketing, how to do it the right way, how to attract and qualify and convert prospects into customers, and how to keep your customers. So we got together on these calls like every other week or so for about a year. And it's just great stuff. I'm going to have to turn it into a book or a training. But after that first call, I realized what a treasure Mitch was. Others in our marketing group already knew this, but then I started looking into the folks that I respect, Jay Abraham and Dennis Waitley and Brian Tracy. And I'm looking at all these referrals from Fran Tarkenton, like known names, Dove Gordon, Alex Mandossian, who all said Mitch was their go-to guy. Like they call Mitch in when they need some help training. And so Mitch became my go-to expert as well. Earlier this month, I had a prospect who was a CEO of a company doing about 75 million in sales. And my first thought was, I got to get Mitch in on this call, because that's what he does, is just make things happen. So I brought him in on that call. And of course, Mitch and this CEO happen to know each other. So they're talking away and they had good times. And hey, remember when? So the short is, we're going to close a deal with them on Friday. But that's what Mitch does. People pay him for he calls it his second opinions. They bring him their toughest questions. And then in an hour, he solves it for them. He's kind of like Monk. For those who used to watch the show Monk, Detective Monk, Mitch just sees things that others don't see and cracks the case. So I'm so happy that Mitch said he'd come here and speak today. And Mitch, I welcome you. Please help me in welcoming Mitch. If you're a reaction sort of person, you can put those little funny clap symbols there as well. But welcome, Mitch. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
By the way, this is applause in American Sign Language, and that's the right kind of applause to use when you're online, I think.
Okay, thank you, Marjorie. We'll all use that.
I love it. Well, thank you.
This is what the youngsters do.
All kinds. So I don't even have to open my mouth, right? Well, thank you very much, Matt. And my dad, who was a New York City cop, would say, all that you talked about and 250 will get you on the subway. So my dad used to say, hey, don't tell me what you're going to do. Tell me after you've done it. And I said, oh, it used to frustrate me to no end. And then I grew up and I realized he was right. So thank you very much, Matt. I'm really thrilled to be with you. This is what I love to do. It's what I live for. And this is not going to be a PowerPoint presentation. So how many of you are happy about that? It's actually, we want you to participate, all right? Because we want to give you kind of an experience of what it would be like to work with us. We could give you all kinds of information. I'm just curious. I think, Matt, you sent out the link to the New Game is Selling page, right?
I did.
How many of you went to that page or had a look at the main video on the 6 leverage points? Could you let us know? And all of you who have your cameras off, unless you're someplace that you can't show yourself, please come on camera, because this is for you. This is not for me. I know this stuff. Matt knows this stuff. We want to share with you some things that we could help you do just in this little hour that we're together, kind of give you a sense of what's possible for you. You know, when you think about your upside is not outside. Your upside is inside. And many of us are blocked. We're all blocked. I'm blocked. And sometimes you need somebody else to help you unblock you. So if you would participate, rather than be in the stands, you're going to get a lot more. And if you're present and not distracted with other things, big doors swing on little hinges. You might pick up one nuance, one distinction, one little difference that you could do in any part of your entire relationship journey with your client that could make all the difference. And as we go along, I'll give you some examples. So I have a question for you to kind of get stimulated and thinking. Why did you come here? What do you want out of today? So you can think about it, put it in the chat, or type it up just for yourself, because unless you have an outcome, unless you have a purpose, unless you have a destination, you're just going to be here for good information. And it's going to be a whole lot of notes, and you put them on a shelf or you put them somewhere else. You may check on them from time to time. And by tomorrow, you'll forget half of what we said. By Friday, you'll forget 90% of it. And then by next week, guess what? You'll be back to your old ways. So really participate. The first way you participate is to say what you would like to get out of this conversation. So I'm going to give you some things as we go along, because I'm kind of an in the moment guy. And as Matt said, I've got 45 years in this game. I've trained 1 million people face to face, and of course, the last couple of years on Zoom. So I enjoy the interaction. And by setting out some objectives, we know where we can go. So first thing I'm going to give you, as you write down what you really like out of this, and I'm going to give you 3 things that you should always have when you start a conversation or a meeting. First thing, what is the purpose of our meeting? Second thing, what is our agenda? Third thing, what is our outcome? That's what's known as getting alignment. We have a lot of models and frameworks in the New Game is Selling. Matt, did you tell them at all about the New Game is Selling?
No, I just put a link in there to the New Game of Selling. Most of you saw it on the email that I sent. You'll see Mitch's video and a download of the playbook and such.
I just noticed that a longtime friend of mine is on with us, Brian Brandt. Hi, Brian. I gather you can't be seen, but it's good seeing you, at least your name.
Hey, Mitch. Yep. Thank you.
I think we go back, what, 20 years?
At least.
At least.
No, 30. Yeah.
Is it
To
really?
Jay Abraham's training. Yep.
Oh my God, 30 years. You're starting to make me feel old. Why are you here? What do you want out of it? Anything coming up in the chat you can share with me? Because I want to help address some of these things as we go along.
Yeah, you can put them in the chat, or if you can have a short and sweet answer, feel free to raise your hand and I'll just call. Well, Roar, I saw your hand go up. So what's your number one thing here?
Thank you. I tried to write in the chat, but I could either write to you, Mitch, or to you, Matt, so not to everybody. So that is a challenge. But I
Okay,
can repeat it loud. So I send it to Mitch, and my question is, how can I be better at having my next client saying yes to my great offers?
okay. That's a pretty complicated question. I'm going to give you the first answer that comes to my mind. Create a great offer. If you don't create a great offer, where it's like, we're going to invite you to continue with us. And Matt and I spent at least an hour saying, how can we make an offer to you that you would be so crazy to pay? In fact, it will cost you more to pass it up than to accept it. Start there. Okay. Second step. A great offer to the wrong audience will never pull. A mediocre offer to the right audience will pull like gangbusters. I had the good fortune to know a guy named Gary Halbert. Gary Halbert was considered the greatest copywriter in the world. As Brian said, we met at a Jay Abraham seminar. Okay. And Jay actually invited me back to train his $15,000 proteges because none of them knew how to sell. And so we started talking, and we realized that if you have a good offer to the right audience, it's almost like honey to a bee. However, if you have a great offer to the wrong audience and you think it's your offer that's not pulling, you could abandon something that might be gold just because you're sending it to the wrong audience. So here's another tip. Right. Make sure you are crystal clear about who you are best suited to serve. So if you already have customers and clients, pick the 5 or 10 or whatever number that you're best suited to serve and that you want more of. And in the course of today, I'm going to give you one question. I might as well give it to you right now. Should I give it to you right now? It's a great question. Question that's created $100 million of revenue. I know. Do you believe one question could be worth $1,000? This is yes. This is no. Either one will do. Okay. Do you believe one piece of paper could be worth $1 million? Is that possible? I can tell you it's possible because I have about 100 questions, any one of which could change a conversation instantly. Like,
Is that piece of paper a $1 million bill?
no, it wasn't.
Okay.
I actually had 3 of them, each one worth $1 million. One was a table of contents. I made $500,000 on a table of contents. I got an insurance company to pay me $250,000 for a table of contents. They went on to create my training program. I licensed it back to them, and they then referred me to their 5 biggest customers. That was the third piece of paper, which was an endorsement letter. So one question, big door swing on little hinges. Sometimes one question changes everything. So here is the magic question that will tell you what you do. Go back and ask your best customers, why did you buy from me? How many of you honestly ask all your customers, clients, whatever, why did you buy from me? Now, you would think it's obvious, right? Now you think you know. So let me take you back 30 years. I'm in a meeting. I used to do exclusively corporate training. Fortune 500s, banks, insurance companies, 50 people, 500 people. I once did a training for 5,000 people at once. Okay. I asked this corporate executive, why do you hire me? You got consultants in and out of here all day long. You've got trainers on staff. You're paying. He said, Mitch, you're the first guy to come in here and talk about how marketing, sales, and service is one holistic process. Integrated, we knock down the walls. And as a result, we're better able to attract, convert, and keep customers. I said, can I say that? Can I quote you? He said, sure, I'll write it on a piece of paper 30 years ago. So when people ask me what I do, I started with 4 of the most powerful words you could ever say. My clients tell me. Ooh, what do your clients tell you? That I'm really good, and they say, not I say, they say I'm one of the best in the world at helping you attract, convert, keep customers, and multiply profits. Which one of those would you like to do right now? How many of you have a little bit of difficulty expressing or answering the question, what do you do? Just honestly, truthfully. Okay, then I won't give you any more tips because we don't want to give you stuff because you already kind of have it. But I'm here to say that what you do is not what you sell. You're not selling what people are buying. And they're not buying what you're selling. Oh my God, how could Mitch say that? Go back and ask them, why did you buy from me? You're going to hear things you would have never believed that they're getting from you because you're in your head, you're thinking about your products, your services, your features, your advantages, your benefits. But that's not the business you're in. You're in the business of transportation. When I started in business 45 years ago, I was in the insurance industry. Anybody ever been in the insurance industry? I know you wouldn't admit it. It was a running joke that the fastest way to clear out a room is say, hey, I sell life insurance. And everybody runs away. Right? That was a standing joke. So I didn't want to say I sold life insurance because life insurance is what? A vehicle to get you where? To destination. So I thought, I'm going to say something different. So I came up with the phrase, I'm in the transportation business. I help people get from point A to point B financially. Where would you like to go? And then people say, ah, ha, ha, you sell insurance, joking around. Yes, and then more. So I changed the whole context of the conversation by shifting from what I sold, which is a product, which is just transportation, to their destination. This distinction was well worth the hour you spend here. By the way, if you make $100,000 a year and you work 2,000 hours, you make $50 an hour. Did you ever figure that out? If you make 200 grand, you make 100 grand an hour, 100 hours an hour. If you make 50 grand, you make 25 an hour. So you better do your very best that when you're giving up this hour, whether it's a 25, 50, 100, $500 hour, you owe it to yourself to extract from this hour something, one thing, one distinction, one change, one little hinge that if you applied it, and I guarantee you everything I'm telling you will work because it's worked for 1 million people, that you will get back 10, 20, 30 times in money what you didn't get paid for the hour of time that you're spending with us. You owe that to yourself, and you owe it to yourself that whenever you invest something, whether it's $50, $100, $500, $1,000, $10,000, that you know very clearly when you're going to get back ROI 1, return of investment. Return of investment. You invest $1,000 in the program, you should know going in, I do this, I'll get my $1,000 back, and then everything else is profit. I'm in the profit improvement business, not in the training business, consulting, but that's all vehicles.
And
What
Mitch,
do you do?
I'm going to use an example that, because you and I spoke about surveys, people here might know me as the survey guy. But when you tell people, hey, I do surveys, wow, it's almost not quite like saying I'm selling insurance, but it's pretty close because people know, well, that's this annoying thing, or we've already got it. Yeah, we already have, Survey Monkey, we already do this. But in my mind, surveys are so much more. They're that insights, like that X-ray vision into somebody's head. but I wasn't expressing that. So using Mitch's idea that surveys are actually transportation to get you to what you truly want. So that was a big change for me, was to try to frame that in the words of how my prospects see surveys.
Yeah. So why did you buy from me is the first part of a five questions of service that have produced $250 million for my clients. Imagine having a sequence of simple questions. The first one is the most important, because when you know why people buy from you, then the very people who have bought from you, who you want more of, you can go now say, here's what people are telling me about what they get from our relationship. How do they improve? How do they progress? How do they feel? What's the before and after? We spent so much time marketing, qualifying, trying to convert, that we don't realize the real riches is every single client, customer has potential buying power. The old game was you get a customer to make a sale, but the new game of selling is you make a sale to get a customer. And the future buying power of that customer, the referrals, the testimonials, the endorsements, possibly putting you in front of a whole load of hungry fish. So small things, small changes can lead to big results. Matt, why don't we try to address a couple more questions if we could, or issues that come up? Anything in the chat, or anybody want to come out and say something?
Yeah, I've seen four more. Two of them are similar, so let me mention that one first, and then I'll tell you the other two. But there's two questions about how does this work in with influence? How does trying to understand how to influence people, because many folks know what the influence principles are, which we know kind of occurs right at that one point when you're trying to convert somebody. But there's so much more on the front and the back of that. Can you kind of weave in what you're saying with that topic of influence as well?
Well, I would like you to suspend your influence for this hour. Let's put it this way. How far has the influence principles gotten you so far? The reason we kind of titled this Beyond Influence, because on their own, the influence principles don't convert. I mean, I'm sorry to tell you that, and I've been in this game a long time. The influence, so I'll give you 1 minute, and then we're going to go beyond and go forward. Cialdini wrote that book not for sellers. He wrote it for buyers. He wrote it to protect the buyers from sellers who were unconsciously using triggers that you were not aware of to get you to automatically respond. And his original intention of the book was, hey, if you know this is going on, you will become a better buyer. Then what happened is all the sellers took hold of these principles and started to realize that if you stack them, you can persuade people to do things that may not be in their best interest to get them to buy. That is really what it was all about. So what I'm here to say is that although you know the principles, authority, are there other authorities in your field? Do people just buy from you because they like you? Don't you have to have a good offer, a good value proposition, credibility, trust, consensus? Well, testimonials are good, but that just gets you in the game. It's like, okay, that's what you've done for other people. Right now, you don't care what I've done for other people. You don't care how much money Matt and I have generated for our clients. You only care about what's in it for me. What can you do for me? All that stuff is historical. Will it work for me? That's all you care about. So reciprocity. How many of you have given away something as a lead magnet and got no response. Anybody? So if the principles were designed to attract, convert, keep, and multiply customers, you wouldn't be here. They would have already done that for you. So we're going beyond. You have to know 6 things. There are 6 steps to every single business. First step, how do you attract people? That's called marketing. Second step, how do you qualify? Do you know I've consulted with some of the biggest companies who've spent the most ridiculous amount of money bringing customers in, leads, and then they all fall into the Grand Canyon of lost opportunity. You know why? Because people don't know how to qualify if they have a real buyer or a browser or a tire kicker. How many of you feel like you wasted 5, 10, 15, 20 hours this past year with people who weren't prospects, weren't ready to buy tire? Anybody waste time? Okay. Would you like to have one question that will eliminate your time wasting and be worth probably 50 hours of saved time times $50 an hour, I'd say, or 20? Figure out the numbers. Would you like it? Give me one of these. Or one of these. Or one of these. All right. Or one of these. Here it is. Are you ready or are you getting ready?
That's the question.
Yeah. It went right by him. Are you ready or are you getting ready? Here's the question. You answer this question for you. How many of you are really ready to stop spinning your wheels, wasting time with people who don't deserve your time, being in front of a continuous stream of hungry fish, people who are ready to buy, know how to convert them without closing techniques, without pushing and pulling, eliminate objections from ever coming up, and then get your clients to refer you to other clients and get 30, 40, 50% of your new business from your existing clients. Now, if you're ready for any one of those things, say me, put your hand up, whatever. Okay. Do you see the difference between ready and getting ready? I knew somebody who spent 5 years getting ready and then decided you didn't want to do it. So, are you ready or are you getting ready? Next question. Let's say the person's not ready. Why would you present something, demonstrate, pitch to somebody who's not ready? Answer me that. Well, maybe it's worth your time. Maybe they have friends. Maybe they want to know what will happen when they get ready. That's good. If you are in front of ready buyers all day long, would you ever talk to a getting ready buyer? No. Our game is not about putting more leads into your pipeline. Our game is about putting the fishing pole in your hand, walking to a stream of hungry fish, snapping away, and then it almost doesn't matter what kind of bait you use. Why? Because they're hungry, they're ready, they're committed, and you come up, it's like, where have you been all my life? I've been waiting for you to show up. Okay? So, Matt, other questions, comments?
Yeah. Well, one comment and a question. Comment is that was my trouble. Like, I thought they were ready. And then you get into the proposal stage and the discussion, and then they just vanish. They walk away, and you're like, oh, because I never asked them. So that's a great tip. I gotta do that. We did have a question here. I'll just read this to you as it is. Expand skills to quickly develop the better rapport with top-level decision makers who may not want to share what they are really thinking.
Okay. First of all, let me rewind 1 second. For those people who are getting ready, what would you do? If somebody said, no, I'm just getting ready, what would you do? Just come out and say it.
Perhaps offer a gift so that when they're ready, they will reciprocate.
You could. That could doesn't usually work, but that you could do that. What else?
I could invite them into my Facebook group.
You could. So what?
I could ask them if they happen to know anybody who has this problem who is ready.
Beautiful, great question. Bravo, Marjorie. What else? See, I'm a master of the obvious. And it's just going to sound so obvious to you. What will take you from getting ready to being ready? You know what somebody once told me when they said, I'm not ready yet. I said, what'll take you from getting ready to being ready? He said, 1 week. I got to clear my decks and then I'll be able to go forward. Can you imagine? So inviting them into your Facebook group, okay, doesn't make them ready. Giving them a gift, not unless the gift, let me recant that. Here's how giving them the gift would, and by the way, giving them a gift doesn't automatically signal reciprocity unless the gift has value specific to their need. But you still need to know what will take them from getting ready to being ready. See, we try to think about what we should do. So I'll give you $1 million piece of advice. Stop trying to figure it out yourself and just ask people. What do you need to do? Are you committed? No. What will take you from not being committed to being committed? I'm not able. What do you mean? I don't have the bandwidth. Okay. What will take you from getting rid of the bandwidth to? Okay. And you stop, and then you stop right there and you figure out, is it worth me pursuing, or should you come back to me when you're ready? Okay. That alone will save you an hour or two a week.
You know, Mitch, what that struck me was how we work in the digital marketing area. There's so much psychology built in, and I've heard, you know, the gurus or whatever say, well, you want to get people to do a click on a button because that gets them in the mood to click. Like you click on an easy question and then you move them up. There's like all this like psychology built in, like how do we get inside their head? And you're saying, how about ask them? And it's like, oh, you know, sometimes I forget to just ask instead of using surveys and other things. Just, you know, ask people.
Yeah, it is amazing. As a matter of fact, I have a rule. You've heard the 80-20 rule? Anybody ever hear that? 80-20? The 80-20 rule for me is 80% of the time I listen, 20% talk. If I can do 90-10, I prefer. But I'll do 80-20. Then of the 20% of the time I talk, I'm asking questions 80% of the time. So in a normal conversation with somebody, I will endeavor to speak 5 to 10% of the time, listen the rest, and everything is questions, questions, questions. Why? Because you don't buy into what I say. You buy into what you buy into. So why we show people how to completely eliminate objections. In fact, in the new game of selling, there's no module, framework, formula, or anything for handling objections. If you never got another objection, how would that change your business? Do you think it's possible that you would never get another objection? So think about this. What do you object to? What do you object to? I'll cut the answer short. Do you object to getting what you want and need? Let's start there. Does anybody object to getting what they want and need? No. So what do you think people object to? What do you object to? Well, the short answer is somebody trying to persuade you or give you what you don't want or need. Well, that makes sense. Pretty obvious. Yet how often have you met people who try to persuade you and convince you that you need or want what they have. And that gives you the creeps, doesn't it? You don't want to convince anybody. You want people to make a good decision in their best interest. And because you are the trusted voice of choice, the professional they turn to, if you're in the services business, and really no different if you're in the product hard goods business, because you've got to convince them that your product is trustworthy and reliable and dependable. And you don't do that until you really extract what they're looking for. So I'm going to give you an amazing formula right now. Then we're going to kind of take a minute to show you what we're doing so that you get an idea. And then we're going to come back and continue. So I want you to write these 4 letters down in a vertical, R-A-M-M, R-A-M-M. This serves as 2 things. This serves as your navigational formula to keep you on track for where you want to go. It doubles as a qualifying formula for when you meet somebody. If you go through this formula, I guarantee you what's going to come out the other end is you will know if you have a serious buyer. R, result. R stands for result. So I asked you right up front, what do you want out of this? Didn't I? What did you come here? What do you want? What result? A, action. What action are you taking to get that result? By the way, the result is the destination. Remember, focus on their destination, not your transportation. Focus on what they want, not what you want to sell them. All right? A, action. What if a person has done nothing to get the result they want? That means they're in inertia. If you're in inertia, what's going to get you to take action? And when? Very important to know. Some people think and think. Here is I created this phrase for me, and I put it on the mug to remind me. What does that say? You can see it?
Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every day.
There you go. I had to create that for me because I was a perfectionist. Now I'm an imperfectionist, and I'm much happier. Okay. M. Yes, it's an imperfect mug. It's broken. It's perfect. Perfectly imperfect. M. This is the big one. Modify. Measure. If I'm in San Diego and I go back to my hometown, New Jersey, every now and then, if the pilot gets 1 degree off course, am I going to get to New Jersey? No. So measure is critical, and there's 2 measures. There's quantifiable, quantitative measure, leads, conversions, profit, money. And then there's the qualitative measure. Am I having fun yet? And by a show of hands, how many of you have been frustrated with your business in the last 30 days? I put my hands up, right? The idea is to get past that frustration and seek the answers to what's frustrating you. So M, very important. Are you on or off course? Are you getting closer to or further than your destination? And then the final M is the magical modify. This is where I find out if somebody's willing to change, adjust, revise. Imagine if you had a pilot in an airplane said, we're 1 degree off course, but don't worry about it. We'll land somewhere. And he wasn't willing to modify or adjust or correct course. Do you realize right now, somebody on this call is unwilling to correct their course? Because they're certain they're right. I don't know who it is. I know I was there once or twice in my life until I realized that if your plane doesn't correct itself, you wind up someplace you're totally different than where you intend. So how willing are you to modify, adjust, admit, hey, whatever I believed is no longer serving me. I have to embrace a new belief. RAMN. That is your flight plan for success. So I'll tell you one more quick story, take you back a long time. And when I found out something about myself, that totally changed my life. When I was younger, I started at 15. I was working at something called a luncheonette. Some of you may be old enough to remember that there were these little eateries that were like seats at a counter, and behind the counter, the people cooked your food and they served it, and there were some tables in the back. So I did that for 7 years. When I was 16 years old, a guy calls me over in the back. Now, I was getting tips. This was in the early 1970s. I was getting 10 cents, 20, 25 cents. Guy comes in the back. He says, Mitch, come here. He says to me, hey, my eggs were perfect. I loved it. You were served me great. You were smiling. You're clean. Come here. And he looks me in the eye. He stuffs a dollar bill in my hand. It was the first time I ever got a $1 tip. And he's holding my hand. I'm like, let go. I'm thinking, let go of my hand. He looks at me, goes like right into my face. He says, you're worth it. Nobody ever said that to me before. When was the last time somebody looked you in the eye and said, you're worth it? You're worth a lot more than you even think you're. But it took somebody else to tell me I was worth it. And it dawned on me, and has been my ethos of business ever since, as corny and as old-fashioned as it may seem, I love and serve people, and they reward me with their money. I love and serve people, and they reward me with their money. See, we think it's like, give me the money, then I'll love and serve you. That's not the way it works. You got to love and serve people. Even if you don't want to love them, serve them. And the way you serve them is to help them make a good decision to buy what's in their best interest, even if you don't have the answer. Have you ever gotten a customer from somebody who didn't buy from you because they liked the way you treated them? They respected your professionalism? I've had it happen hundreds of times. If you're objective in every conversation, if the context of the conversation is, I'm going to love and serve this person, and they'll reward me with their money, their trust, their belief, their faith, maybe their family, their friends. But if I go in to sell them, you change the context of the conversation. They say that content is king, but context is the kingdom. And when you are skilled at setting the context of the conversation, which is all of what we do, we teach, we train, we coach you. This whole game is communication. And as you improve your ability to communicate with yourself and with others, your life can change in ways you couldn't imagine. So let's take a break here, session. Questions, comments, take a breather. I want to show you what we have to offer if you choose to continue with us and go forward. But in the meantime, Matt, if you want to just open it up, anybody want to say something, feel free to come out and say something. If you're like stupefied and you're like a deer in the headlights, let us know, because we're here for you.
Okay, so I am running into a gremlin challenge. I believe all hardware and software come with gremlins. Matt sent me a message and I cannot read it. And I cannot click on it and I cannot see the rest of it. So, and by the way, I'm loving everything you're sharing. It really resonates for me.
Right.
Oh, thanks,
So was there
Marjorie.
a question
I'll try to
there?
send it to you again there.
Is there a question you had, Marjorie?
Yeah, I just would like to know if somebody could wrestle this gremlin to the ground so I can use the chat.
All right.
Why
Buffy,
don't
you want to take care of that for us?
No, could I let's not use technology. We're talking. Ask me the question.
Okay. Can you fix the chat?
I'll have Buffy take care of that.
We not distract ourselves with technology. We have voice, we have faces. Please talk to me.
I do have one question here that came up. I don't know if you want to show what you were going to show, Mitch, or we can kick this off, tee this up for you.
Just kind of give me the question. I want to get people here to give me some feedback, questions, whatever.
Okay, we have someone that said they've just pivoted now to B2B sales. Their challenge is how to approach a business owner without triggering the old, he's trying to sell me something thought, and that they don't have time for cold chat.
Yeah, I spent the first 10 years in this business, B2B, exclusively. So, yeah, you're asking. Let me tell you what I don't like about Cialdini, not himself. I love Dr. Cialdini. What I don't like about it is the idea of shortcuts. There is no shortcut to a relationship. If you're looking for a shortcut, you're in the wrong room. You got to earn the right to get in front of somebody. Now, there's lots of ways to do it. The how-to is actually the easiest thing. The more important questions to ask is why should that person talk to me? And what do I have to talk about that should earn his interest or her interest? Because, hey, I just had a big birthday. The grains of sand keep going through the hourglass. I have no time to waste. And executives, people in business, they don't have time to waste. So you shouldn't be looking for a shortcut. What you should be looking for is a reason for that person to talk to you, where that person would book you in their calendar, even if their calendar was full. That's the kind of mindset you should go in with. So I could teach you a lot about B2B sales. The first thing is, what are you going to talk about that is of interest, and why should they give up their precious time to you when... So that's my short answer. Was that too direct? I'm known for being very direct, but people love it because they're tired of like frivolous waste of time, superficial talk, nonsense. Hey, I see you like football. Who cares? What do you got?
Gigi?
I have a question about the "Are you ready?" I've had that happen to me a couple of times where you ask the question, "Are you ready?" and you discover going back and going back and going back because the person says next week, next month, next year, and they really are just never ever going to be ready. How do you make the judgment call with people?
You know, that's a really good question, and it's a really hard thing to determine. Because some people need a little push, they need a little nudge, all right? I never want to push people into something they don't want to do. But that question, what will change to get you ready? How much pain do you have to? So what I really do, we have a model called the cost value model. And what I do at that point is I make a value judgment. Does this person really have to assess the pain, or are they just like, and if eventually, whenever I hear eventually, I know it ain't never going to happen. So the question, what are the ramifications if you delay? What are the consequences if you put the decision off? What are the implications financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically, if you do nothing, if you maintain the status quo? Let them figure out the cost, then the value. What if you do something? What would be the payoff or the reward or the benefit? Now the question is it a better decision for you to defer and put this off and continue to accumulate the cost? Or is it in your best interest to say, you know what, by next Friday, I'm going to make a decision? Your call. And then you have to decide, whatever they say, do I want to stay in the game or find a hungry fish?
Yeah, I was pretty young and green when I started in on some of this, and it took me a while to realize that there are a couple of times that there are people who will say that, who actually want to say no, and they just can't do it. They're just those kind of people.
It's really astute of you to hear that, because we have not learned in our culture how to simply say thank you, no thank you.
Yeah.
And just think of how much wasted time you spend with people. If they would have just said thank you, no, would have been good, great. Who do you know who, right? I hear you. But this is the greatest skill I ever learned was communication, how to listen with my ears, my eyes, my heart, my soul. And if you really let people talk, there's so many people who just want to be heard. They'll tell you what you need to know, and then you can use your judgment, your discernment. Okay, Matt, I'm going to just take 5 minutes, show everybody what we have, and then we'll come back. I have a few more. I have like 2 or 3 more really good distinctions I want to share with you. So hang in there. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, feel free.
Okay.
And I'll say, continue to put the questions in the comment. If you have to leave after the hour, and we'll get back to you on email. We'll make sure that you get some answers here in another medium.
Okay. So let me take you through this whole process. Why are we doing this? What we're doing? We want to give you an advantage, a unique advantage, to be the trusted voice of choice in your sphere of influence. The game is really to convert and keep more customers and multiply your profits. I'm pleased to say I've been able to do that to the tune of about $3 billion of revenue over the years. Everything I've shared with you, I've used. It's changed my life. It's changed the lives of 1 million people. You've got a taste of it today. And we'd like to share it with you as well. And to have the support that you need, we're going to add the $1 billion playbook, all the tools in the toolbox. We're going to show you how to use it. We're going to give you access to our new game selling library. It's not a course. I'll show you what it is in a minute. And then you're going to join Matt and me for 6 more training sessions where we're going to show you how to actually work out, strengthen your skills, and work on your game. The outcomes: be the trusted voice of choice. Bottom line is to make more money, generate more top line revenue, bottom line profits with no expense. We're going to redirect your attention to things that really pay off. Even your marketing will save you a lot of money in marketing when we show you how to go back to your customers and get more of the same. And then ultimately 3 things. We want to help you actualize your potential, maximize your performance, and optimize your profit. So you're going to get 6 games within this new game of selling. The first game is the new game of selling, and that's how to attract the true believers. Make sure that you qualify so you're in front of hungry fish who are ready to buy, and then be able to comfortably convert, not close, no 24 closing techniques, just convert browsers into buyers where they say, yes, we'd like to go forward. Then on the back end, you're going to play the new game of service. And that is, how do you keep customers for life and have them coming back for more? How do you multiply your return on investment once you get return of investment? And we have 5 different ways, from bump to bundle to borrow to back end. And then if you have past customers, dormant customers, inactive customers, how do you reactivate them? Because 20% of the past customers are actually ready to buy again. You just don't know it. So what we're going to give you is our entire online library, 24/7 access to all the game plans and all the plays within the library. You'll have the $1 billion playbook, and that's worksheets, checklists, ebooks, reports, everything you need to execute all the new game plays. And then this is where the rubber meets the road. You can imagine we get paid pretty well to go in and train with companies, organizations. We don't charge the same thing to individuals because usually it's more than most individuals because there's real leverage. But working together, we decided we want to give you 6 sessions where we're going to actually coach you, role play with you, give you semi-private coaching, have you come out individually and get personal attention. This is what the membership area looks like. You can have all 6 game plans. You jump into the game plan that you're ready. So let's say you want to attract more customers right now. You go into that game plan, you download the materials, the playbook, you pick the videos. Now, here's what's great about this. You do not have to go through all these. Every single module is standalone. So you can go right into the bump, say, I want to create a bump. Like, do you want fries with that burger? Yes, I want fries with that burger. Or better yet, I'd like to do a bundle. How about you get a meal? We'll throw in the soda for a bundled price, all right? Let's say you want to do that. You go right into the module, watch it for 15 to 20 minutes, and you're out doing it the very same day. That's what's really brilliant about this program. These are all the materials you get. I'm not going to go through them. You can see any one of these can improve your business. And if you don't use 90% of this and you only use the thing you need, I guarantee it'll produce results far in excess of what you would invest. You get 6 training sessions with Matt and me, 90 minutes each. That's a total potential of 9 hours with us. If you think you had 9 hours to do this kind of stuff, do you think you could make 10% improvement next year, 15% improvement? You get all the training session replays. So here's what it is. Normally, we sell the online video library and playbook for $19.95. You'll see that when you go to the checkout page. The 6 training sessions with replays, $6,000. And truly, it would be a lot more if you hired Matt and me to do it individually. Total is $79.95. The package total is $79.95. Our members pay $19.95. We're giving you a $1,000 courtesy. Why? Because you're friends with Matt, and we don't want to be having price an issue. And this, I rarely say this. I will tell you, and I will guarantee that you will get your way more than your money's worth. And if you don't, you come to us and you tell us what you're not getting, and we will personally make sure you get what you need. All right. So even if you had to borrow this, put it on credit. It's one of the only times I would say do it. If you had to get a partner to do it with you, I would say do it. All right. Because I know what's on the other side. And I also know that each and every one of you has at least 10, 20, 30% of upside. And you don't know how to grab it. And we could show you how to grab it. In fact, we'll help you in our first session identify where your most leverageable part of your business is. And we'll go right into that to help you get as quick a return of investment as possible. And then you're working with house money. And by the way, you have all this stuff for the rest of your life. So if you want to take the next step, and then Matt will put this, if we have it in the chat, go to keepcustomersforever.com. You select the $19.95 payment. You agree to the terms of use. You read them if you feel you need to. Use the coupon code FRIEND in all caps, and that will discount your payment immediately to $9.95. Click complete the order. You go to PayPal, but if you want to use a credit card, you can. And then you check your email, you'll get a login and a password, and we'll get you into the membership site where you can start watching the recordings. You can download the entire disk zip file with all the materials. You get those immediately, instantly, and you keep them forever. If you have any questions, you need any help, questions at feedback9.com. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for a moment. And Matt, do you want to have any questions or comments?
Yeah, let me well, actually a short question and a longer question. Short was with what you just said. Did you just say we can have two people pay for this one program?
I'm not saying have two people for one. This isn't a 2-for-1 deal. What I'm saying is get somebody to finance you, meaning a partner. And look, if you get somebody else to pay for it and you share it with them, we're not going to know. All right. So that's like, really, that's how much I feel you're going to get out of this. Now, we're not intending this to be a 2-for-1. We're giving this as an option to you if you need to. So we'll go on faith and trust. And you know what? Where would Microsoft be without a little piracy? So we're gonna let you judge. All right. We trust you enough. We don't think you're here to rip us off, and we're certainly not here to take advantage of you.
Right. Thanks, Mitch. Yeah, I'd love to have you join us. I know we're at the top of the hour, so do check out keepcustomersforever.com. That's in the link.
And don't run off because I have a couple of more distinctions. I'm just going to take a 30-second break here. I'll be right back.
All right. And I'm going to answer. I've got two questions up here. Just make sure the folks that asked these are still here. One says, my challenge is my audience are not always my buyers. You know, what if that's the case? And struggling to figure out a way out for a new way to market. Let me just reread this there. So I'm trying to figure this out for a new way to market. I can't tell who asked that question. Are you still here? If you asked about my audience are not always my buyers. Was that you, DJ? Okay. I'll ask that of Mitch as soon as he returns. He's probably got his cat there. His cat, Shay.
Actually, my cat was just poking me in the side. That's what
I should have told everyone, bring your own cat, BYOC.
Yeah, Matt, I missed what date do the 6 sessions start on?
Oh, sorry. It starts Monday, January 8th.
Okay, good. I'm glad it doesn't start on the 1st.
Yeah, we were going to say first Monday, and then we realized, oh, wait a minute.
Oops.
I've never done a session on New Year's Day, but
Yeah.
yeah, so Monday, January 8th, and then probably every couple of weeks after that. Thanks,
Yeah,
Fred.
I
And
think we're going to wind up doing these 2 weeks apart. We're not going to wait a month. Okay.
I'm going to call this the Matt and Mitch Club.
that'll do. That'll do. I
Great.
like how I get top billing.
You do.
So I know we're after the hour if you have other commitments, but Mitch, here's another question for you. My challenge is that my audience are not always my buyers, but the "Are you ready?" thing is something that my audience could be asking their boss. What do you think of that approach?
Okay. I don't know what that means. What do you mean your audience is not what?
I can explain if you like.
I'm sorry, DJ. Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Ask the question directly.
Yeah, so my audience is IT people. IT people don't like to buy things direct. They always like their boss to buy it for them because they're spoiled brats. And hey, you know, it is what it is. And so the problem it becomes like how to get them to go in front of their boss and say, hey, I need this sort of thing. And so that, you know, that has been a challenge for me, especially lately.
You're in B2B. Are you in B2B?
You could say it that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The first part of our training is how do you break the ice? And secondly, if you're in B2B or there's a decision maker, how do you get the user buyer to be your champion to sell the economic buyer? Do any of you sell? There's 3 kinds of buyers. when you sell to a business. When you sell to individuals, the individual, like you, are the user buyer and the economic buyer. You're paying for it and you're using it. When you sell into a business, it doesn't have to be a big corporation. You have a user buyer, they're the ones who are using it, the IT guy. You have an economic buyer, his boss. The boss isn't using it. So you've got to convince the boss, that it's a good investment for the user and for the business. Your user becomes your champion. You have to train your champion to sell the boss when you're not present, because you're not going to be present when he goes in and makes it. And so we're going to show you how to sell a third party when the third party has to do the selling for you. Do you know how many years it took me to learn that? And now,
As many as me, but yeah.
probably by trial and error, right? Then I realized, wait a second, the guy who's paying isn't the gal who's using it. So I have to, so yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. That's a unique twist. And we're going to show you whether it's big companies, small companies, or if you want to break into the business market because you have something that could be good for them, or you have something that they could deploy on their behalf. We're going to show you how to get big companies to actually buy your stuff and give it away, and you get paid. So that's a great question. Thank you, DJ. Other questions?
Just one more question I saw, and Gigi, I don't know if this was answered about ability to simplify the language. Did you already get that answer? Do you want to expand on that some more?
Hi, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to I want to be able to feel more comfortable as watching Dr. Cialdini talking about using languages, how to really learn and understand what you're saying and target your wording much more specifically, because again, I'm doing it right now in this
Right.
here is, really understanding the key words that make a difference.
Everybody's keywords are different. And yet I can train you to all to do the same thing and apply your keywords differently. And it doesn't come from influence. Is a whole different level of communication beyond influence. And what we're going to do is going to actually ask you, because we're going to teach you a whole different model, is to kind of just, you've already got your influence, but it's not getting you the outcomes you want. If it was a direct path to the outcomes, you wouldn't be here. So you're looking for something more. So we want to give you a whole new way to communicate. Leonardo da Vinci said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
Yep.
Those are the first 5 words in my book, The New Game of Self.
Yeah, my family has always used that it is complexity is easy and simplicity is hard.
Yeah, well, we make the complex easy, and that's why we've generated 3 billion of revenue, is because you don't have to learn a new language. You just have to be yourself. And by being yourself and getting centered and grounded in who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, the benefit that people are going to get, and come from the ethos, at least, that I'm here to be of service.
Right.
Not to sell you anything. Even if you prepare yourself, I'm not looking to sell. I don't want to sell you. I want you to buy of your own volition because you think it's the best thing you can do. It's in your best interest. When I start trying to convince you and persuade you, it's like, whoa, why is he trying so hard? If it's so good, right? So we're going to teach you a whole new language. And to some degree, you're going to have to just put influence aside, and then we'll reintegrate it where it's appropriate. Well, we're going to show you how to attract people using the words of your customers, how to qualify people in minutes, how to convert them without ever getting an objection using 3 magic words: alignment, agreement, commitment. We're going to show you 5 questions to ask your customers that are going to get you new business, referrals, introductions, testimonials, endorsements, and maybe some joint ventures. We're going to show you different ways you can go back to your customers and multiply and expand the relationship. And then if you have any past customers or dormant inactive customers, some of those people may be ready to buy right now. You could be sitting on reactivation riches, and all you need is 3 questions to go in and reactivate. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up, Gigi. Marjorie?
Yeah, I just wanted to, you reminded me of one of my very favorite quotes. It's from Oscar Wilde. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Yes, it's great. And you
Love
know
that.
what's great about playing the new game is you can be yourself. You don't have to learn a new language. You don't have to get that uncomfortable feeling in the pit of your stomach when you're trying to convert people or ask them to buy. All right. It's a more natural game. And once it's like a custom made suit. Once you put it on, you never take it off. So that's really what we're trying to get you back to being yourself and less trying to be what other people have told you to be. And oh, by the way, this offer is going to be good. What did we say, Matt, for the next 7 days or whatever, or to the end of the year?
Yeah, because we're going to start January 8th. So definitely end of the year. We've got to
I'll tell you,
start counting the roster.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I really want to get a thing rolling with you guys. I'll give you the first 10 people who do this, because you know you're going to get value. I'm going to give you something special. I'm going to give you 20-minute second opinion. I usually charge $995 for this. Is that okay, Matt? Are you all right with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Can I sign up?
Yeah. So I'll give you, anytime in the 6 sessions, anytime or thereafter, you need some hey, I want to know what to do. I'll give you a 20-minute second opinion, and that'll be direct between me and you, nobody else. So just to give you, for those of you who might be on the fence, but even without that, I can tell you that if you got something out of today, you ain't seen nothing yet. So, and I don't like to pat myself on the back, so it's just not one of my qualities.
Well, hopefully everybody
All right.
heard my intro of you and know all the patting on the back I did.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mitch.
So
I'm just going to do a last call if there's any more hands of questions that you didn't get answered. Of course, you can always email me after the fact. And for those who watching the recording, can email me those questions as well.
and you have the email and the link in the chat for everybody?
Yeah, I'll put it here. I don't know if people on the recording can see it, so I'll just say it. questions@feedback9.com. Actually, it's a pretty difficult one, isn't it? I'm going to give you my personal one here, matt@docchampagne.com. That's a little easier to remember.
Okay, and so I said I was going to give you 1 or 2 more distinctions that would be worth the price of admission. So those of you who have stick around. So anybody have any issues with rejection? Okay, great. I'll pass on that one.
Here's
What
my
types
low-
of
my low-
issues? Issues
Like-
as if that they happen, or issues that we can't, that we are personally hurt by them?
Great, thank you. Let me clarify. Would you like to know how to rejection proof your network?
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll give it to you. Here it is. Gonna write it down? By the way, we have a $149 training that teaches you how to do this. I'm going to just give it to you right now. Phrase number 1. Here's what I do. Remember, what you do is not what you sell. Phrase number 2. Here's why I do it. Phrase number 3, and maybe the most important one, here's who I'm looking for. Now, do you know who you're looking for? If we could help you just really get clear on what you do and who you're looking for, you will never be rejected again. You know why? Because you say, here's what I do. I help people attract, convert, and keep more customers and multiply their profits. Here's why I do it. Because you have so much more upside than you can imagine. And if I can just extract some of the gold, give you picks and shovels so that you can extract it on your own, I can help you impact your quality of life significantly. Who I'm looking for? People that are ready, committed, willing, and able to learn new ways to actualize the potential, maximize the performance, and optimize the profit. Now, follow it up with these 2 questions. Who do you know? Where should I go? I've taught 100,000 people that. See, I can't help you get rid of the fear because it's primal. But if you knew you couldn't be rejected, would there be any reason not to tell everybody you know, here's what I do, here's why I do it, here's who I'm looking for, who do you know, where should I go? Me? That sounds really good for me. Oh, I wasn't thinking about you. Let's talk. But who do you know, where should I go? That alone took me from $15,000 in 1982 when I hit the wall in my business to doubling my income the next year to tripling my income from $15,000 to $100,000 in 2 years, and I never looked back. That's your bonus for sticking around. And I promise you, that alone will change your life. Now, one last thing to connect, to show you how everything is connected. I said before, I'm going to give you one question to ask your customers. What question was it?
Why did you buy from me?
That's right. Now, why did you buy from me? The answers that you get are going to form the what you do. See, you think you sell your thing, well, your service, your product, your issue, your cause, no. You do what your customers tell you you do. And when they're going to tell you what you do, you're going to hear things you would have never thought of yourself. And you can use the magic words, my customers tell me this is what I do. I don't do taxes. I save people thousands of dollars a year by making sure that they can deduct everything they're entitled to deduct. I don't sell life insurance. I help people have the peace of mind that, God forbid, something happens to them before they retire or during their lifetime, their family can continue living. I don't sell IT services. I help people streamline their operations so they minimize mistakes and maximize efficiencies. Are you starting to get an idea of what you really do and how to language it? And you can't think about that here because in here, you're thinking products, services, advantages, features, benefits, blah, 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 blah. USP, unique selling proposition. Not as good as a USA, unique service advantage. And there's only one way to find out what you do, and that is to ask your clients, why do you buy from me or patronize me? And then what have you gotten out of our relationship? And now you actually know what you do. And especially for the people you want more of, you say, oh, I want more of these. These are the kinds of things I do for the people I serve. Here's what I do. Here's why I do it. Here's who I'm looking for. Who do you know? Where should I go? Eliminate rejection forever. That's my final parting gift for you today.
Great. Thank you, Mitch. There is one question that got slipped over the transom. I know we have got a hard stop here in about 5 minutes. Can I read this one to you and see if you got it? Somebody says, I lose often to competitors, but I lose to those who say, we'll do it ourselves. So is there any different techniques, or the techniques you've already described? How would you suggest those be used for those kind of?
What does that mean? Meaning after you show them what can be done, they decide to do. Who asked the question?
Oh, Daniel, are you able to come off mute? Oh,
Daniel's here twice, but we don't see him.
Here
Sorry.
it
Yeah,
is.
hopefully you can hear me.
Sure
Okay.
can. Thanks,
Right.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Answer-
Yes. So the short version here is that we often don't lose to a competitor. Like we beat some pretty big companies. But often it's, well, we'll wait and see. Maybe we'll do it later. Maybe, or maybe they just say, you know what, we're just gonna have to do this internally. Like we just had a very large company that said, this is great, but we don't have budget for external help. We're gonna do it internally. Now, sometimes that's true. Sometimes, maybe there's something could be done.
Are you saying that you gave them the solution and they chose to do it internally, or it's a process they're evaluating whether or not they should outsource?
Yeah, we didn't give them the solution. We said, it sounds like you need this. Yes, we can do that. Here's here's how at a high level, we'd help you do that. Like we have tools that do that, for example, not like detailed, do A, then do B, then do C, but like we have a tool that does this. We have a tool that does that. And then the response is cool, but
could you be specific? I can't hook on to this and that. Like,
okay,
what
sure. So
sell
there's a
and why-
new, there's a new European regulation that requires all kinds of new activities on the part of companies. And we have a way to do it in about half the time. We have a bunch of tools and a bunch of expertise and so forth. We've done it before. We can do it in about half the time it would take them. But of course, if they do it internally, they don't have to, they don't have to use external spend for that.
Why would they be talking to you to begin with if they could do it internally?
Because it takes a long time. They often don't have the time resource. The resource of time is often scarce. And because they're often not sure how to do it. Like it's pretty new. It was finalized in July.
Okay. It sounds cryptic, and I appreciate that you can't, share anything further. I would say the answer to that, not the competitor issue, because you're dealing with what you seem to be like, all right, we decided we don't want to outsource this, we'll do it ourselves, right? That seems to be what you're referring to. I would use the cost value formula, where I would evaluate the actual true cost of doing it yourself. Money, time, bandwidth, resources, people, lost sales, downtime, etc. Figure out a way to aggregate the cost of that financially, operationally, emotionally, psychologically, right? Then look at that as compared to how you would do it, cost-wise, reducing time expense, reducing all the other expenses, and then you could present a fair assessment. It has to be more than this. I'm giving you a very short answer to a little bit longer and more complicated question. But the short answer is, whenever you have somebody who doesn't know the value of what you're doing, you've got to do the chain of consequences and then look at value, payoff, and benefit, compare the two, see which is more sensible to them. And that's the short answer, right? But there's things that probably should be done beforehand, before you actually have the conversation, to qualify them as to whether they're really looking for an outsourced solution and trying to determine if it's in their best interest to do that or go with you. That's my short answer.
Great.
And
And that would be the same, sorry,
we
that's the
covered-
same
we
technique for
covered
if they're deciding to delay. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Unquestionable. I have had people, we used to deal a lot with corporations and they would say, selling cycle, selling cycle. I said, ditch your selling cycle. All that matters is the buying cycle. Nothing matters but the buying cycle. And your job is to find people who are in the buying cycle and ready to buy. And not because you can cut your selling cycle in half, reduce it by months or weeks if you're a fan of ready buyers. Historically is what selling cycles are history. So anyway,
Well, I appreciate Daniel bringing that up because that's a great example of your 20-minute bonus, right, Mitch? You know, the second opinion on specific challenges that you're having. So I'm glad Daniel brought that up.
We'll discuss those in the
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the whole purpose. There's real life scenarios to give you real life opportunities to go back and have an impact. So
All right,
thanks for
great.
bringing that up, Daniel. Appreciate it.
All right, well, we're at our hard stop here. Mitch, do you have any final words?
I would just say, think hard and quick about what changes you want to make. And the last thing I'll say is, if at the end of the 6 sessions, you can honestly say you did not get your money's worth, we'll give it back to you. How's that?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you, everyone, for your time on a Monday. So much appreciate that. Follow up by email. Any questions? And enjoy the rest of your week.